Alrighty, welcome everyone to the Virtual College Exploration Program in partnerships with colleges that change lives. This is the St. Mary's College of California information session. Thanks for being here. Going over to some housekeeping items before I pass it over to the presenters in case you haven't heard these yet. When you do register for these sessions, you get a barcode in that confirmation email, but know that that barcode is not necessary for any of the virtual events you participate in. We are recording this session and all other sessions, and that recording will be available on our website shortly after the session concludes. So whether you want to rewatch it or watch one you may have missed, just check back on our schedule. And then you'll notice that you will be able to see and hear the presenters. Unfortunately, they cannot see or hear you all. This is webinar style format, so any questions that you have throughout the presentation, feel free to type those into the Q&A box. And we have Dorian behind the scenes answering some of those questions, and then there will be an opportunity for some live Q&A at the end. So without further ado, I'm going to pass it over to Jenna to get us started. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Jen. I'm going to go ahead and just jump right in and share my screen so I can pull up our presentation. And while I'm doing that, I would love to welcome you all. Thank you so much for attending such a long week. I know if you've had a chance to attend other CTCL schools and their virtual presentations, you've been doing so since the weekend. So I think we're the last one. So thanks for joining us as we wrap up a really great week. My name is Jenna Sherino. I serve as the Associate Director of Admissions for St. Mary's. And I'm really excited to give our presentation today. My colleague Dorian is also joining us. So I'll let him introduce himself.
Hi, my name is Dorian Roberts. I'm also an Associate Director of Admissions at St. Mary's. I've been with St. Mary's for almost 2 years, and some of my territories include the Dallas-Fort Worth area and also the greater Chicago area. I just want to thank everybody for being here today.
Yes, and I work with students from throughout Southern California, so pretty much everything from San Luis Obispo down to San Diego, as well as out of state in the state of Hawaii, and then here locally where we are in the South Bay, so Santa Clara and San Jose County. So definitely really excited to have you join us this evening. So without further ado, I'm going to get started. Just jumping right into what makes St. Mary's College of California different, unique, as a private Catholic and liberal arts college. So I'm going to go through what each of those different identities mean to us and how they really resonate in not only our academic experience, but our social engagement, the campus community, because it's really a special place. And part of what makes a Colleges That Change Lives school is the fact that we're also student-centered. So we really focus on the benefit and the support and the encouragement and drive of undergraduate students. So locationally, St. Mary's, we're located in Moraga, California, which always the first question I get is, where's Moraga? Because it's a smaller town within the Bay Area. We're about 40 minutes east of San Francisco, about 15 to 20 minutes east of, directly east from Berkeley and Oakland. So we have a really great proximity to the entire Bay Area. And our campus itself is located in a beautiful, beautiful town. We're surrounded by the rolling hills, the Contra Costa mountain ranges, so it's pretty aesthetically pleasing. We have a redwood garden on campus, a redwood grove, lots of eucalyptus trees, the cypress trees. It's really very peaceful, and for nature lovers, it really resonates with that kind of serene atmosphere. So it's really great to have the best of both worlds, being a very residential college and campus community, but still having really great access to the city when it comes down to finding internships as a student, but then also just, you know, getting off campus and enjoying the day-to-day on the weekends, you know, and experiencing the food culture and the arts, history, music, sports, for sure. We have that all. The Bay Area is one of the most diverse and innovative places, I think, to live in, I would say, arguably the US, but definitely in the state of California too. Our undergraduate population as of this year is a little under 2,700 students. So comparatively in the Colleges That Change Lives, I guess we're considered one of the larger schools, but comparative to our University of California, California State University school systems, we're definitely considered a smaller school, which has so many benefits for so many reasons, which I'll get into in a little bit, but we are an undergraduate serving institution. So at the same time, while we do have master's degree programs, we offer MBA programs, MED tracks, Masters of Science in Counseling and Psychology, so on and so forth. Our undergraduate students are taught by their own set of faculty, and our graduate programs are also taught by their own set of faculty. So there's no crisscross there, which really makes the education and that experience much more collaborative than competitive, especially with graduate students. We were founded as a Catholic Lasallian college, which I'll talk quite a bit in the next slide about really what that means and how that resonates with our students spiritually, and spiritually in the engagement with our students, staff, and faculty on campus. But it's really a very unique order in the Catholic the Catholic faith, stemming from principles like social justice and inclusiveness. And then finally, what's really unique about our campus for our size, especially, I think, is that we are huge in school spirit. We are Division I athletics. We compete in the NCAA Division I West Coast Conference. So there is a really extraordinary sense of excitement to be a Gale, really great school spirit when it comes to like the basketball games on campus, volleyball, rugby, especially men's soccer in the last couple of years have been really distinctive. So really, really great sports environment too for students that are interested in playing sports, both at the D1 level, but also just really are looking for that that extended school spirit that you might find in a college and university school system. So touching on and jumping right into our Lasallian principles and what does it mean to be Lasallian? Many students and many families that we speak with, they're familiar with Jesuit high schools, Jesuit colleges, but we're Lasallian. So that is a little bit different in the sense that in relation to our history, we were founded by the Christian brothers who adapted the Lasallian principles and the Lasallian mission from Jean-Baptiste de La Salle and his work, his truly revolutionary work with making sure that all had access to quality education. Back then, if you were not of the wealthy elite or the upper echelon of your societal class, it was very difficult and nearly impossible to be educated. So he really saw and really witnessed the marginalization of communities because of that. So his work to educate all those of what were considered the lower class, the non-elite of their societal classes, were able to be educated and to receive an education that instills these lifelong principles, and that also extends our communities in this very interconnected way, which we absolutely believe at St. Mary's. So some of my favorite core principles and the way that they resonate with our students is that our campus is incredibly inclusive, incredibly diverse in a sense of welcoming students of all faiths, backgrounds, cultural identities, religious and spiritual identities. You have a place on campus because all life has meaning, and that kind of faith relates to everyone's individuality in the greater context of how we can impact each other. So there's a sense of respect for all in that way, that all life has meaning and all life has value, and that we are here to stand in or against injustice when that occurs. There's an incredible sense of advocacy and civic engagement on campus that really shows up in a lot of ways through community service, through having majors that really integrate social justice throughout their core curriculums, through study abroad offerings that are community service and socially justice focused. So all these incredible core principles really resonate in the sense that our students have the chance to come in and really bring who they are to this kind of experience. Tying into how that looks with our Catholic Lasallian requirements, we do not require Mass. We do have, however, have Mass every day and then multiple times, twice a day during the weekends, but there's no requirement or no expectations for students to participate or attend Mass, but it's very much an option for students that are looking to add faith or to pursue faith into their day-to-day outside of their academic curriculum. And as part of our core curriculum, just as a student will take our liberal arts core, math, science, the creative studies, we do require 2 theology and religious studies in which students can take a course in their upper division of any world religions, philosophy, course of their choosing. So there's courses that study Buddhism, Islam, Judaism, as well as the Catholic and Christian denominations too. I touched on our diversity on campus, and this is something that really speaks strongly to myself, and I know very strongly to Dorian too, as our multicultural coordinator. But when you go to a college, especially a liberal arts college, students are very excited and eager to learn from one another, to, get out of their comfort zone and to go to a school that is not serving 50% of their high school class, really to make their mark and bring their individuality to a campus that's going to not only accept them, but going to challenge them too. Really notably, I mean, touching back onto the Catholic faith, over 50% of our students identify as a religion other than Catholic. So certainly this is where any student of any religious background can feel pursuant in their faith and can feel stronghold in their faith in whatever that way looks to them. Notably as well, we serve a significant first generation student population, meaning for first generation students that might identify as a non-traditional student, low income, or as those that are the first in their family to attend college. Nearly over a third of our students identify as a first generation student. And about 52% of our students identify as either multicultural or a student of color. So when I am asked by students and parents all the time, you know, what makes a typical St. Mary's student and what kind of student would best fit at St. Mary's, it's difficult to answer that in a linear way or just a unilateral way, because there is no one size fits all to a St. Mary's student. But again, underlying that intrinsic mission of inclusion and community and social justice, I would say that students that do really well at St. Mary's and students that are most excited to apply to St. Mary's to potentially become a Gale are students that are advocates. Not only advocates for themselves and advocates for learning and getting out of their comfort zone, but also to be advocates for others too that maybe don't have that voice as we are offered. All right, so introducing our educational emphasis as a liberal arts college. So every single one of our schools in the colleges that change lives, all 45, 50 of us, we are all liberal arts colleges. So what this means at our core is that we have established a core set of principles, a core set of classes that are ingrained in this philosophy of building knowledge, seeing the interconnectedness between all academic curriculums, and being able to develop these essential critical thinking skills, innovativeness, the ability to think outside of the box and listen and learn from differences in opinion too. All of that stems from taking classes outside of your major. So essentially that's what the liberal arts are, right? Is, you know, you're going to be taking classes that are not indicative of your career pathway. However, at St. Mary's, we define this by our core curriculum, which is very different than general education requirements, for example. You know, schools that have general education requirements usually are kind of one size fits all courses that students will have to fulfill or satisfy in order to graduate. The way that we integrate our core curriculum within our liberal arts context is to allow students to simultaneously engage in classes in the liberal arts. So the social sciences, the humanities, the creative studies, theology and religious studies, foreign language. So all of these core subject matters, but that you get to choose. So there isn't a one-size-fits-all approach to how a student chooses to satisfy their math requirement or their natural science course. It's actually up to you in the course curriculum that you are most excited about, what you're going to get out of that experience that's going to build on your academic background. So for example, you know, all students will have to take a math, but there is no requirement for every single student to take statistics or say calculus, for example, which is a typical entry-level math course for schools with gen ed requirements. Students could instead take Aristotle's algebraic equations at St. Mary's. They could take structural design and engineering. They could take political science research methods. So again, choosing classes that would satisfy the liberal arts that are going to offer you this transformative collegiate experience. And one of the main benefits and one of the main, I think, learning objectives of a liberal arts college is that it focuses highly and intensely on student collaboration and student participation. So liberal arts colleges allow students to be at the forefront of their education. You're not just a number. You're not just somebody that is, you know, coming in to get your degree in and out in 4 years. And if that's an experience that you're looking for, then maybe a liberal arts college and a liberal arts academic coursework might not be the best fit for you. But if that's something that you're excited about, then this is really, really engaging because it does involve that high level student-teacher interaction, strongholds in mentorship and collaboration. All right, these are our majors. So I wanted to showcase these, keeping in mind that nearly every single one of our majors has specialized concentrations within the field of study. For example, psychology has 4 different concentrations and specializations, business has 7, kinesiology has 3. So you really get to get specialized, and I encourage you to go online to our website, stmarys-ca.edu, and check out the full list of majors and minors. You can check out the internships that have been offered for students that have pursued those majors, the course curriculum for every semester in order to graduate in 4 years. But I will say that some of our top 5 and most notable graduating programs, especially in terms of our number of graduates and their own specific outcomes for success, have been business administration, communications, kinesiology, psychology, and biology. But that being said, we also have an incredible performing arts program, dance, music, and theater. Notably, and I will introduce that all of our performing arts, so dance, music, and theater, any sort of musical, collaboration, concert choir, theatrical production, you do not have to be a major or a minor in order to participate in those opportunities. They are open for any student who is interested. And it is possible to double major. I'm sure we're getting questions about that. You can absolutely double minor in a subject. In fact, I believe statistically about 48% of our students at St. Mary's at least have a minor. So what's great about the liberal arts is that it gives you a chance to really come in and focus on your area of study. Students actually don't have to declare their major at St. Mary's until the end of your sophomore year. So coming in, you can really jump into that field, figure out that foundation, work with your advisors to get on track to graduate in 4 years. Average class size, 19 students, student faculty ratio, 11:1. Again, I introduced right off the bat that there is a great emphasis on undergraduate learning. Our largest class, I think, is about 35 students. We physically keep class sizes small, but we also physically don't have the space on campus for students to be in a large lecture hall. So classes are designed in this way so that students have the platform and have the arena and the space to get to know their professors and vice versa, to ask questions in class, which is so important to learning, that really active engagement, and to be taught by a professor, which, you know, that's remarkable in and of itself. Some colleges and universities, especially in your first year, second year, maybe all 4 years, are taught by graduate students. We do not have any teaching assistants at St. Mary's. There are no courses that are taught by graduate students. Every single course is taught by a professor, and 97% of our faculty have earned their PhD or their terminal degree in their field, which is so special because they're here at St. Mary's to teach and do research and collaborate with undergraduate students. So it's very common for students to end up really engaging with their mentor, the professors, for things like internships and research on and off campus. Speaking of advising and mentoring, advising plays a really multi-dimensional role throughout your 4 years at St. Mary's. In the first year alone, students will have 3 advisors. They will have a first year academic cohort that will meet about every other week or so in the first semester to make sure that you're transitioning into college. You have the support to be successful in those fundamental first few weeks. You will also have a faculty advisor. So regardless of whatever major you're coming in with or whatever major that you think you're going to be studying, you're going to have a professor, potentially a non-denominational professor, in your field that's going to just be helping you navigate your first year experience. So letting you know exactly what classes to take that would satisfy your core curriculum, to discuss with you if you're undecided, your major options, give you suggestions for classes, encouragement for courses to take, to really get you established in that 4-year graduation plan. They actually physically design a 4-year graduation plan for you. And then lastly, our students will have a success coach. And the success coach is really like your cheerleader. It's a full-time staff member who's there for you unequivocally. What I love about success coaches is that every Monday they have coffee and donuts with your success coach. So you can stop in, grab a cup of coffee, have a donut, quick chat with your success coach. They're there for you if you're feeling homesick, if you are struggling with your classes. They're going to provide that secondary support too to make sure that you get back on track. To really also guide you and navigate you throughout what you want to make of the college experience. So how to get involved, how to access things like the writing center, peer tutoring, how to start your own club. And then you'll see down here, there's something called the High Potential Program, which notably because we have such a significant population of first-generation students, we have designed, and St. Mary's has a fundamental program to not only provide mentorship and collaborative experiences with students that would normally be marginalized in the college experience, but also scholarship. And it's a full 4-year advising program that allows students that identify as a first-generation student, even non-traditional, or as a low-income Pell eligible student to participate. And students in the high potential program not only receive scholarship, but they also get to move onto campus 2 weeks before everybody else. So they have a chance to really figure out the lay of the land of campus, meet with their advisors, meet with their professors, start taking classes so that you're already geared up for success going into the first week. You're not just given a map, moving into your dorm room and saying, okay, figure it out. St. Mary's is not a place where students are told to just figure it out. That doesn't happen. It's very difficult to fall through the cracks at a place like St. Mary's because you have so many resources that are looking out for you. Campus itself is incredibly dynamic. This fall semester, you know, for those students that are living on campus, we're trying to still bring that sense of community engagement that St. Mary's holds really dearly because of our sense of community ties and just the fact that so many students live on campus all 4 years. We're really, really missing that. And I know for students that are applying to college either this year or that are juniors currently, rising seniors, you know, you're looking for that in the college experience, hopefully. If that's something that's important to you, you'll absolutely find that at St. Mary's. We have on-campus housing guaranteed for the first 2 years. We generally, and in normal times, we would require students to live on campus. However, you know, with the current global pandemic and the health crisis, students can opt to live on campus if they choose, but are not required since mostly all classes will be online this fall. We have over 60 different clubs and organizations, so everything stemming from art, music, and theater groups, religious organizations, multicultural clubs, service-based organizations, environmental groups, you name it, we probably have it as a club. And if we don't, it's very easy to start up your own club. We have new clubs getting started every single year based on what students have passions for and the kind of things that they want to bring to their campus. I'm sure how many students do we have in the room? All 88 of our students that are joining us today, all of you have interests, all of you have extracurricular activities that you do not want to stop doing in college. So we encourage that. In the beginning of every fall semester, we have a student involvement fair where all the clubs and organizations will table, usually outside. If it's a nice day, there's a free barbecue for everybody, and you can sign up for and check out all the clubs on campus too. Touching back with our athletics, we have over 17 Division I collegiate sports. So for both men and women, D1 sports compete in the West Coast Conference. So our rivals are schools like Santa Clara University, University of San Francisco, Gonzaga, Pepperdine, Loyola Marymount, University of San Diego. So these are our consortium of schools that we do compete against. However, I will say that St. Mary's often and typically will rise to the top of the WCC every single year, especially for basketball, men's and women's. We've competed consecutively 6 times in the past 10 years in March Madness. So hopefully for next year, you'll have us on your March Madness bracket. Our men's soccer team has placed #1 in the WCC Conference Championships for the last 3 years. Men's and women's rugby, the men's rugby team took the national championship title from UC Berkeley the last 2 years. So yeah, there's a great sense of hype around our athletics. And if you are looking to play a D1 sport, junior year is when NCAA regulations will allow for that student athlete access. But if you're looking to play a sport, maybe not as competitively without the requirement of being a student athlete, there's definitely that option too. We have over 23 club sports intramurals. And then over 70,000 hours of community service are dedicated by our students to the campus community every single year, which really ties into what students are looking for as far as that social justice component. All right, and I see Dorian's really busy answering questions, which is great. So please feel free, keep answering or keep typing in your questions. Dorian's gonna get to them, and then hopefully we'll get to a few at the end. I want to definitely jump into 2 of our really unique academic experiences that are unlike any other school and what allow us to be called a Colleges That Change Lives school. First and foremost, Collegiate Seminar is part of our 4-year undergraduate experience. Students take 1 Collegiate Seminar class every year in order to graduate. The Collegiate Seminar curriculum is actually modeled off of the Great Books program, in which students throughout their 4 years are dissecting, assessing, reading, critiquing, debating, formulating ideas on some of the greatest authors, philosophers, and thinkers of our time period. So everything from both Eastern and Western authors, stemming from Aristotle, 3,000 years ago, to Socrates, to Plato, to Euclid, to Siddhartha, to Lao Tzu, to Shakespeare, Martin Luther King, Maya Angelou. So you actually navigate throughout the literary history throughout your 4 years. So every single year, each collegiate seminar class focuses on a different genre of literary history. And the way that the room is configured here that you can see on your screen is as a seminar style and Socratic way of teaching. For those that have taken seminar classes in the past, you might get flashbacks of this and you might really be missing this at this point. This is a really egalitarian way of teaching where the professor is not the head of the room. They're not the one that's giving the information and students are expected to take that knowledge in. This is a configuration of a class where every single student has an opinion or has the ability to have an opinion because there's no hierarchy in this class. You're not in rows staring at the professor, having to raise your hand to ask a question. It's really remarkable the way that just configuring the room in a seminar style like this opens the door for students to have equal buy-in into their learning. And there's no right or wrong in a class like seminar, which I love because it gives students a chance to ask their questions without fear of looking dumb or without, fear of asking the wrong thing or, and it also gives students a chance to listen to one another, to learn from one another, and having really the curriculum modeled off of the life experiences of those that are in the room is really remarkable. And you see that transition in yourself and that transformation of yourself each and every year as a student at St. Mary's because of the self-encouragement and confidence that a class like seminar really instills. My favorite experience at St. Mary's is January term. I'll try to just spend a little bit of time on this because I could talk about January term forever. January term is a 1-month-long course that students take during the month of January that has maybe nothing to do with anything in relation to your major. So January term, students can have the opportunity to either take a class on campus that potentially, again, could not relate to your degree pathway. You could do a domestic travel experience or an international travel experience, a study abroad, or even a internship or an independent study if you're approved by a professor. So our 414 calendar is really great to allow students to fully experience January term because it's just one class. So technically, during January term, you're putting your major on a little box and a shelf, diving into Jan term, and then returning to that experience or returning to your degree in the spring semester after you've fulfilled and after you've engaged in January term in a really unique way. So, the experience is up to you. You could take a class on campus studying the history of rock and roll or the scientific method of chocolate making, entrepreneurship 101, dog psychology. We had a class on dog psychology this past Jan term, wilderness ecology of the Bay Area, food culture in San Francisco. So really things like this, which, allow you to get out of your comfort zone, do something different for the sake of learning. And if you decide to study abroad, if you decide to do a domestic travel experience, what I love about them is that they're all led by professors and they all take a group of about 15 to 20 maybe students. 20 is a little bit large, but they've gone to places like South Africa, to Tanzania, to Japan, Australia, New Zealand, the Amazon rainforest, Guadalajara, Mexico, Puerto Rico, Greece, Italy, Ireland. You name it, we've probably sent a Gale there before, either for a full semester or for a January term. And what's really unique about the courses that do go abroad for January term is that they all focus on a different topic of study while they're there. And they're not major specific. So for example, a biology pre-med student could go to New Zealand and study Maori culture and the ecology of New Zealand. Or a business major could go to the Amazon rainforest and live amongst an indigenous group and learn about indigenous culture. So really incredible and transformative experiences like this, which I think really open your sense of worldview and your perspective and definitely impact you for the better. All right, the fun stuff, the deadlines, the scholarships, the application requirements. Let's dive right into that, and then we'll have some time to answer some questions. Regarding the admissions deadlines, so first and foremost, keep in mind our two deadlines, early action and regular decision. Early action, the deadline will be November 15th. Regular decision, our admissions deadline is January 15th for priority applications. We do have rolling admissions for our regular decision deadline, but we absolutely encourage students to have their application submitted by January 15th, for maximum scholarship eligibility, and then to also have more time just to really figure out your college decision. Early action is non-binding, as you may know. We do not require students that apply for early action to commit until the national enrollment deadline. So it's really great for students that are interested in St. Mary's, want to get their application in early. We generally get decisions within about 3 weeks by December and mid to end of December at the latest. And again, it's a non-binding admissions decision. For regular decision, we do guarantee decisions by March 15th. So a little bit longer of a decision turnaround there. Three things now required to apply. Number one, the submission of your application. If you are applying through the Common Application, we are a Common App school, so you can add us to your list. We also have our own individual St. Mary's College application, which you can access on our website individually. So either of those will suffice. We don't have a preference one over the other. We do require at least one letter of recommendation from a teacher or a counselor. So someone academic, but that being said, we'll read as many letters of recommendation as you send us. Usually students will send maybe 2, 3. We'll probably know how awesome you are after 3 letters of recommendation. But again, feel free to have your favorite teacher, maybe a coach, write you a letter of recommendation if you feel that would really add something to your application. Lastly, we require your high school transcript. It has to be an official copy. And I feel like I'm about to sneeze, so forgive me. But please submit your official your official transcripts. The middle 50% of our last accepted class, keep in mind the GPA fell about a 3.3 to a 3.8, and that's a weighted academic GPA. So that's the acceptance range of our last enrolled class. We, beginning this fall semester for students applying for the fall of 2021, are moving test optional. So please know that, again, we're working with students and families amidst this really crazy time where testing sites are closed. Students are really stressed about the ability to take the SAT or the ACT. We will work with you, but for students beginning this fall, we will not, in most cases, require a test score for the SAT or ACT. And please go online to our admissions website. You can see the full list of criteria for our test optional movement. We review applications holistically. That's our promise, and I think our intrinsic value as a liberal arts college and as a Colleges That Change Lives school. We are looking at more than just your grades. And in years prior, we were definitely looking more than just your test scores and GPA. You are not a number. You are not defined by those kind of datas or statistics. We know that you have aspirations, that you have character, personality, that what you bring to college is much more than just your test scores and GPA. So, my favorite thing to review in a student's application is their essay. Dorian and I, we love learning about what you do just in your day-to-day, what you're involved with in school, after school, how you spend your time, the things that are meaningful to you, and definitely your letters of recommendation too. Touching on transfer admissions requirements really quickly, because I know we probably do have some potential transfer students in the room. We have either fall or spring transfer admissions. So you can apply for either this year, the fall of 2021, or even the spring of this year, 2021. And you can see our requirements there. For both first-year students and transfer students, we automatically consider students for scholarship that's merit-based. So what we're going to do this year, because we're test optional, is we are only looking at your GPA to determine a merit scholarship award. We award between $7,000 to $30,000 at the time of admissions for first-year students, and $10,000 to $15,000 at the time of admissions for transfer students based on your GPA review. These are renewable scholarships for all 4 years, and they will be determined in your admissions letter if you are accepted. So you'll know right off the bat what your merit scholarship offer will be. After receiving a merit scholarship, there are tons of ways that you can seek out additional financial aid. Specific to St. Mary's, there are quite a few other merit-based opportunities that students can pursue. For example, departmental scholarships, performing arts scholarships, legacy scholarships for students that are that have parents or grandparents that graduated from St. Mary's, and if you attend a LaSallian High School, LaSallian Leadership Scholarships. We highly encourage students and families to file the FAFSA as well. So October 1st, when that rolls around, please make a note to file your FAFSA, because in addition to any federal grants, state grants, loans, work study, anything like that, we also award institutional scholarships and grants. And we can't allocate those to students that qualify if they do not have a FAFSA. Notably, 90% of our students that apply do receive financial aid. And I believe our average financial aid package for this past year fell between $38,000 to $42,000. Oops, excuse me, jumped too quickly. Being a Colleges That Change Lives school is incredibly meaningful to me on a personal level. I don't think I could work for a school whose values and mission I didn't feel aligned with, that I didn't believe in. Personally, because I graduated from a Colleges That Change Lives school, I graduated from Eckerd College. So knowing this affiliation was a huge, huge attraction for me in seeking out my next career move. Knowing that St. Mary's was a Colleges That Change Lives institution made me feel at home. It made me feel as though, you know, we walk the walk, we talk the talk, that we value our students, that we are proud of our rankings and statistics and our reports, but that we know that this would not be made possible if it wasn't for the collaborative work that our students and faculty did together. So thank you so much for joining us this evening. I want to now, while we have about 10 minutes, take some time to turn it over to Dorian, who can address some of your questions, and we can answer those for you all while we're here together.
Thank you, Jenna. And so there's a couple of questions that have come in, and I definitely would like to partner with you on some of these questions. One of the questions is, can you get a scholarship from doing theater or choir, or even minoring in either of the two if you major in something else?
Sorry, I was stopping my share screen, so I missed I missed you saying that question. I'm so sorry.
Okay. So the question is about departmental scholarships.
Oh, I see it, from Francesca. Oh, excuse me. So yes, so you can. So departmental scholarships for performing arts do allow students to major or minor in dance, music, and theater in order to audition for a scholarship. So unlike the other departmental scholarships like English and politics, history, theology and religious studies, those departmental scholarships do require students to declare a major in that field, because these scholarships were designed with the intent of bringing in really engaged and motivated students for those degrees. So all the list of departmental scholarships and performing arts scholarships is on our scholarships page. But yes, if you are thinking about maybe minoring in music, that's an option too, the departmental scholarships for the performing arts.
Here's a really good question: does St. Mary's have a good pre-med advising program?
That's a fantastic question. I know we have probably quite a few students interested in pre-med, pre-law, pre-vet, maybe pre-engineering. I'll just introduce pre-med because it's very similar for the other pre-programs. We don't have a structured pre-med program. However, every single student will have a pre-med advisor if they are strongly considering medical school as a degree pathway. Her name is Dr. Rainbow Rubin. She's a PhD professor from Stanford, teaches full-time on our campus, advising students for pre-health and pre-med programs. So Rainbow Rubin would be your advisor if you are considering medical school. She would be the one to walk you through which classes to take, which internship programs and research experiences to be a part of, to make yourself the most competitive applicant in medical school. What's really unique and what I hope our other CTCL schools have shared with you is that you do not need to be a biology major to apply to medical school. We have had English majors that have applied and been accepted to medical school, philosophy, history. We certainly have biology and biochemistry, and that's likely the most popular degree pathway that students will pursue for pre-med. But medical schools are really looking to diversify their applicant pool as well. And what's really great about a liberal arts curriculum is that it prepares you for, being a good doctor, not just being able to diagnose a patient based on symptoms or based on human anatomy, but to actually communicate with the patient and to bring these set of humanistic skills to the table, which if you are someone that's doing just one thing for 4 years and solely focusing on one track, it's hard to develop those skills. So I will share notably that our top 5 medical school programs that students have been accepted to have been University of Washington in Seattle, University of Southern California down in the LA area. Oh my gosh, it's escaping me. It's in Nebraska. Oh goodness. Please, if you're interested in medical school, please, I'll get back to you if you want to email us. Oh, it's going to bother me so much. UC Davis and UC SF have been the other local schools. Creighton University, thank you, Creighton University. Those are our top 5 matriculations for medical school. And on average, the national average for medical school is about 48%. Our average percent to medical school for the last 3 years has ranged between about 62 to 75% acceptance to medical school.
I have another great question. How do St. Mary's students learn inside and outside of the classroom?
Oh, physical. This semester, physically, I guess they'll be taking classes outside. But learning does not just stop, in class. Learning continues after you leave the class, when you meet with your advisor and you're discussing the things that you learned, just in your day-to-day mentorship discussions. When you are eating dinner with your friends in Oliver Hall and you're talking about your seminar curriculum or what happened in seminar that day, what debate occurred between your students. But most importantly and most notably through internships and research, I would say, every student, regardless of your major, will be encouraged and will be assisted in pursuit of internships. And the great thing about the Bay Area is that, there's ample opportunity for internships. There's so many, just engagements for the sciences, the creative studies, business and technology, the health industry. We're in this hub of internships. And what's really helpful is that students can have a car beginning in their first year on campus, but we also have really great public transit. So it's really easy to get in and around campus. Research as well, especially for science or maybe social sciences students. We do have a really notable summer science program where students actually can apply and receive a $3,000 grant to do research with a professor on campus for the entire summer. We have about 30 students every single year that are selected for that. So, definitely learning. The hub of it is in class when you're meeting for about an hour and a half every day for your 4 classes a semester, but also outside of that through internships and research.
I think we have time for maybe one more. How
Yes.
would your experience be different if you transfer from a community college?
It's a good question. It would be different in the sense that, I don't know how, it's different in the sense that you'd be working specifically with a transfer advisor, and it would be different in the sense that potentially dependent on your, credit articulation, you might be graduating within 3 years, 2 years at St. Mary's, but we want students to feel the community. And for both first year students and transfer students, they are part of Weekend of Welcome. They are part of the advising process. We encourage transfer students to live on campus. So, and in fact, we guarantee transfer students the opportunity to live on campus. So that kind of residential experience is really the same. And, what I appreciate about small schools is that you're not coming into this sea of people where you have to really figure out your way. It's really easy to find community and to build community. whether you're a transfer student or a first-year student. I don't know if you probably have anything else to add to that, Dorian.
I agree with your statement about the experience of transfer students, is that they are the institution is very welcoming, and they feel like they're really a part of the SMC experience, just like they would if they came in as a first-year student.
Right. And part of being a Colleges That Change Lives school is encouraging students to find that right fit. And sometimes it doesn't happen right away, for whatever reason. The school that you choose, might not support you, and it might not serve you the best way that another school could. So I really appreciate everyone coming to this week of sessions with the Colleges That Change Lives, because it helps us understand what students are looking for. And if it's not at St. Mary's, there's a school out there for you. And if it's not at other school, it might be at St. Mary's. So my tidbit of advice before I know we have to say goodbye is just to keep an open mind when it comes to the college application process. Really dive deep and to think about what you want out of the college experience, and to, in your conversations with students, admissions officers, faculty, really make sure that that's the kind of experience that is not only going to help you be successful for 4 years, but that's going to find the foundation and provide the foundation for you to have an incredible 4-year but lifelong experience too. And just so you all know, if you did type in a question, I know Dorian was able to get to the majority of them. We will get copies of your questions. So in the next week, we will be also responding back to them personally through email. So we didn't get to yours, don't feel as though we missed out on you. We'll definitely be in touch.
Perfect. I want to thank Jenna and Dorian for being here, sharing all of this valuable knowledge and answering all of these questions. And like Jenna said, conversation definitely doesn't have to stop here, and we'll be sure that they get your information as well. So we want to thank you for joining us for the CTCL program. As you exit the Zoom webinar, you will be taken to a quick survey. It's only 4 questions, so we'd love to hear your feedback regarding this particular session. And as I mentioned in the beginning, all of our sessions are recorded and will be posted to our website no later than tomorrow. So I hope everyone has a great morning, afternoon, evening, wherever you may be at the moment. And thanks once again to Jenna and Dorian. I hope everyone has a great evening.
Thanks so much, everyone.
Thank you.